What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Recover Out Loud, episode number 8080. That's pretty awesome. We've made it 80 episodes. It's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. But today we got a really awesome guest all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We got Amanda Clower. How you doing, Amanda?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I can't complain. I've had a lazy day,
All
so
right.
so it's been good. It
Yeah.
tends to be like all of my other days that are lazy.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, would you like to give a formal introduction of yourself?
All right. So, hi everyone. I'm Amanda. I am here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am the owner of my candle company, Artland Candles. So it kind of works on having home fragrance products to kind of elevate people's spaces to help them relax. Because knowing with me, like having issues with anxiety and then putting my crafty creative self into my business to help others with the same kind of situations, like just wanted to help them out in the process too.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Now, what is your favorite scent?
Oh, see, that's a kind of a hard one because like all the scents that I've created, like they all kind of have stories behind them of like nostalgia memories.
Mhm.
So like it kind of like depends on like that season. Like my honeysuckle one, it kind of reminds me when I'm like kayaking at the lake and going through those little coves that nobody can really get to and just having that like piece of nature. And then my wintry s'mores, it like just reminds me of family time in the cabins during Christmas. So it's just kind of comes and goes with the seasons.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
honeysuckle, man. I haven't. I've been all over the world,
Yeah.
and I come back home, and honeysuckle is like one of those scents that's very prevalent because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And the first time I smelled it, it took me back to when I was a kid in elementary school, and I was just like, man, that's a weird flashback.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
outside of the scents that you make, what are some of your favorite scents that you have that you come across?
I have always been kind of like a fresh, clean scent kind of thing because like I always love like when I'm cleaning because I love cleaning because I don't know, it's just it's always been that way. And just be able to like light kind of like a clean, fresh fragrance at like when I'm cleaning just to kind of lift my spirits and everything and just it's a feel good kind of atmosphere when I do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. What has the weather been like in Pittsburgh? I know what it's been like here, but what has it been like for you guys?
The probably the last like week or so, it's been pretty sunny, but before that, it's been like cloudy and rainy. So it's been nice to have some good, nice weather lately.
Nice, nice. Have
Yes,
you taken your trip to Hershey Park this year?
but not yet this year.
Oh, I
Yeah.
went. I went for my birthday weekend in early July, and oh
Oh,
my
nice.
god, I hadn't been there since I was a kid, and it just reminded me of how much fun I can have in as an adult.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and I forgot like how awesome that place really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. So, Amanda, would you like to share with us what it was like in some of your hard times?
Yeah, so this was kind of like almost like all of my like not all of my younger years, but like especially like as in my like teens, it's like anxiety has like been huge and like we couldn't figure because like at the time I really didn't know it was like anxiety driven, but like I've been having like nausea and losing weight unintentionally. And I was like, and we were trying to go see doctors and no one could figure out like what it was because like I had like one doctor say it was like irritation of stuff and they gave me a medication that never worked. And so then as like kind of growing up, like I figured I was like, oh, okay, ginger ale helps with the nausea. Like, okay, like we never were able to pinpoint it. And then as like and then when I moved and got out of college and everything, I had another doctor that was like, we have to figure out why you're losing so much weight and having all this nausea and heartburn. And after all these testings, it was anxiety. So we were able to, pinpoint it and start working through all that process of what works well for me to reduce it. And so that's kind of what I like to help others with, is like have that positivity and being able to help others with like reducing theirs as well.
Absolutely, yeah. One thing I didn't know when I was growing up, and even as an early adult, is how much anxiety and stress can play into the way your body functions.
Yeah.
Is that clearly? I mean, to me, that sounds like that was something that you picked up at a young age.
Yeah, cuz it's just kind of, I think, like with like the normal teen things of the peer pressure, trying to fit in, and like not knowing who I was and in the process, and still trying to, and then I think that's where the early stages of like my high achieving self kind of was there, because it's like, oh, I could do better, I can do better, like I'm not doing well enough kind of thing, and having all that like negative self talk that kind of like stuck over the years. And so that's probably where a lot of the nausea and heartburn and everything was coming in, because it's like I wouldn't eat because I was nauseous, because I was stressed and anxious.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Now that you bring that up, I've suffered from GERD for a long time,
Yeah.
which is like amplified heartburn and indigestion. And I was in a very highly stressful situation, and when I left that situation, my heartburn went away, and I was absolutely mind blown, and I couldn't figure it out. And then when stress would be introduced in my life, the heartburn would come back, and so that makes complete sense what you're saying.
Yeah, because that, like, even my mom, because I don't really remember it too much, but even my mom noticed and remembered. She was like, yeah, every time the school year wasn't in, like it was during the summer, all of your issues went away. And then the school year got back in and all your problems started again.
Yeah, yeah. That's that. I guess it's more prevalent now that you talk about it. So it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So like, what did the recovery process look for like for you with the stress and the anxiety, like kind of eliminating those from your surroundings?
Yeah. So what I've been kind of doing was just kind of doing a lot of self-reflection, and like journaling was huge for me, because I was like able to like reflect and being like, okay, what's causing me stress? What's, makes me feel good? So it's like trying to eliminate my stresses of what I can, and like do deep breathing if I'm in a situation that I necessarily can't get out of, kind of thing. Like if I'm at my day job and it's a stressful day, then it's I just can't walk out and leave. So it's like I just kind of listen to my body and myself of like, okay, do I need to go out and take my 10-minute break to walk away from the situation and eat something to calm my nerves? Um, and just kind of stuff like that, of like being more self aware. And then I was always seeing a counselor, and kind of help walk me through like what I can eliminate and what I can add to help me along the way.
Absolutely. In recovery for addiction and mental health, they have this acronym HALT, HALT, and it's hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And it kind of lets you know, like you were saying, it's a self-reflective thing, like being able to look and say, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? And so some of those that self awareness thing is played a real big part in my recovery too. How has your self awareness been able to help you out?
Yeah, so like I've never even heard of that whole thing you just described, but that's exactly what I do. Like I always, like if I'm hungry, cuz sometimes I do get hangry. So
Yeah,
it's like got to go eat something to, calm my nerves. And then I've noticed in the evenings too, where it's like, okay, if I start having some like outlandish thoughts. I was like, okay, I'm just tired. Go, I can go go sleep, go like sleep it off, and I'll be fine in the morning. And let's kind of like I go through that whole like on like without even knowing that it existed, like to listen to myself throughout that process to get myself uh feeling all right. And then like on top of that, I'll like maybe put on some music and like kind of like move my body some to like kind of, if that's especially if I'm in the slums, like okay, I gotta boost my mood up here, let me put on some music and kind of move my body some.
Yeah. What music helps you?
um Usually if it's like something that's like upbeat that kind of like gets me kind of like in a way like dance around the living room kind of thing, like if it's gonna like kind of give me that like rush of energy and like okay, let's get up and dance for a minute, like if that's gonna help boost my energy and boost my mood, then that's what I'm gonna do. Like I don't
Um,
really have like a specific genre or anything, like if it's something that speaks to me, then that's what I'll listen to.
gotcha. Yeah. It all depends on my mood, what I listen to. But yeah, so like, um, the Halt thing really helped me out too because you're talking about being hangry. When I get hangry, I'm like, "Grr,"
Yeah,
right?
that's how I am.
I start thinking irrationally. I'm like, and I know that I'm hungry, but the irrational thought in my head is, "You're hungry. Don't eat anything." Because it's going to help you justify. And I'm like, no. Let's just calm
Yeah.
down, friend. Let's get some food in the system.
Yes.
Uh, but you also spoke about deep breathing and belly breathing. How does that help you center yourself?
It's just like taking those that like minute or so to like just focus on my breath and calm down. Like I'll like sometimes even put like my hand on my chest and take those deep breaths, and just even there for a minute, just being centered in myself, bringing back into my center self, and be like, okay, we can move forward now because we calmed myself down to where I can move forward.
Yeah. You know what's funny is like when you were talking about that, I had kind of this weird flashback of somebody saying just breathe, right? Just
Yeah.
breathe. And it seems so like so weird that when we're in a bad mood or when we're not centered or something's off kilter, that people say just breathe and you're like, well, I am. I
Yeah.
am breathing, right? But it's so much more than that. It's
Yeah.
focusing on your breath and bringing yourself back to center. And
Yeah.
so thank you for that. I kind of needed that.
Yeah, because I was the same way. Like, what do you mean, just breathe? Like, before it'll make me so angry, but then when people explained it to me, like it's slow, deep breaths, and then I started implementing that, and I'm like, wow, okay, now I can see what people mean by just breathe.
Right. Do you do any meditation at all?
I do it here and there. It's been kind of like I'll start it and just start making it a habit, and then I'll stop and then pick it back up. So it's like one of those like I keep telling myself I need to start really putting it in and like not breaking that habit and cycle of back and forth.
Absolutely. So you when we got everything signed up, you talked about self care and self love.
Yep.
What does that look like for you?
Yep. So I usually try to give myself like a little bit time each day to like relax and do something that I enjoy doing, and like spending time with my dogs and my fiance, like kind of having that time away from social media, my phone, technology and all, and just be in that moment with them. And then usually one day a week, I give myself like a guilt free day to put everything to the side if I want to, or, and it's just if I want to relax that day, I don't feel guilty about it. Like, and, or if I want to work on something here and there and want to stop it, it's okay. Like, it's that guilt free day to relax and give myself that time to recharge and everything to move myself forward.
Absolutely. What does that time away from social media do to you? Because I know it does for me, but what does it do for you?
It's like it's almost peaceful for me because it's like it's nice to be on social media to connect with others and grow my circle, but then it's also nice just to put it off to the side for a while and just be present and just in that moment.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that, I have friends that say, "Oh, I'm going to be taking a month or two away from social media." And I look at those posts and I'm like, I really wish that I could.
Yeah,
With the podcast, I can't because I got to
yeah,
promote everything, but I take as much time away from social media as I can. Like I put my phone away. There's specific days where I just don't touch social media because I don't want to see the negativity because there's so much negativity in the world right now. And so, yeah, taking that moment away from social media is huge.
yeah.
And does that negativity, like if you read something, does that impact you?
Yeah, that it usually does. Like that's why like I can't even watch the news because it's just it burns me out to where it's like and just puts me in a bad mood for the rest of the day and it's just I can't do it. So like that's why like with some of my posts I try to have that positivity because there is so much negativity. So it's like let me put out something positive and just to like help break up the negativity some. And like that's why I also break off from it so I can just work on my well-being of being away from it and being away from negativity.
Absolutely. And you talked about spending time with your dogs. I wasn't necessarily a dog person until I moved away from Alaska where I was, and I live here now. And my girlfriend has dogs, and so I became a dog person really quick, and by proxy, ended up becoming like a dog sitter. Right, so there's even more dogs introduced into my life, and so I'm really getting to this place now where I enjoy animals. What do dogs and animals do for you?
Animals in general just had like a positive impact on me. Like I've been like around goats and cows growing up and all those types of animals and it's just like they're just like giant dogs. So it's like and then having dogs of my own, it's just they're just themselves and it's just the happiness that they bring and the joy of being them like kind of like being themselves like I'm gonna get in the love and joy that they have it's like it, it's just another level of like happiness.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of goats were they? Screaming goats?
They weren't the screaming ghosts.
Oh, damn it! I have a buddy that lives in Alaska, and he just got goats for his greenhouse, and I always asked him. I said, "Screaming goats," and he said, "No, they're the ones that ram their heads into the wood." And I'm like, "Well, okay, well, kind of the same thing to me." But, anyways, you're outside right now.
Yeah,
Do you like to be in nature?
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah, like just being outside in the sun just gives me it's one of those other things that give me so much joy and happiness and just natural energy. So it's like let me be outside to help boost my mood up.
absolutely. Do you like to go hiking?
I do.
What's your favorite place to hike?
Oh, like I usually like doing mountains when it's hiking because it's just like you can hear the trees and the birds and wildlife and then when you get to the top the views are just absolutely amazing. So it's just mountains are usually where I like to go for hiking. Like I've done the Appalachian Sugarloaf Mountains pretty close to where you are, so it's like
Yeah,
maybe a little like half hour. So it's like I've done that growing up because I used to be in Maryland growing up, so I've like go there all the time.
yeah.
So
You you also talked about getting out on the water on a kayak. What does
yeah,
that do for you? Because I know what it does for me. What does it do for you?
it's kind of being on the water is just like almost like another way of like having my happiness because like I grew up around being on boats and jet skis and kayaks, so it's like being on the water and out in the sun, like you can be out it's like seeing all the like more of that nature and all that stuff with it.
Yeah, yeah. I uh, I didn't like being on water. When I was a kid, I drowned. So like when I would get out in the water, anything above my chest, I used to freak out a little bit. But I'm really starting to learn to enjoy it. A few weeks ago I had this weird internal moment where I was in the water and the water was rushing. I was in this creek right down the road from my house, and it was, the water was thigh high. Water's rushing past my legs, and I stepped out and I could just still feel the water rushing past my legs after I got out of the water. And I was like, man, this is probably the most peaceful that I have been in a very long time. So
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just that appreciation of being able to be in that moment and be present,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
So self love, how much has self love played into your life?
Um, it's been playing more and more of a part of my life as I've been kind of working on my self-awareness and like having that positive self-talk and everything that goes along with it. Like it's been giving more of that confidence in myself to be able to know that I'm able to accomplish things and like love myself for who I am and what I can bring to the world. Cause like I know like all of us are like special in our own ways to bring something that's impactful. And it's just before I would never see it in myself until I was on my journey of reducing anxiety, getting rid of it, and just loving myself more.
Absolutely. Um, I I do not like when I hear people do that negative self talk,
Yeah.
and it's not like I down them for doing it, but like if I hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm stupid," I'm like, "No, you're not. Don't talk about yourself
Yeah,
like that."
exactly.
Because you say it and you say it enough, you start to believe it.
Absolutely.
And so I try and reinforce that positive self talk, even if it's like, me saying, uh, don't say that about yourself. You're not. Or like, I hear people say that, oh, I'm fat. And it's like, no, don't say that about yourself. You're not. You're
Exactly.
not fat. You're going through some stuff, but you're not fat. You're not ugly. You are beautifully made the way that you were.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you do like daily affirmations?
Yeah, I do.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, because
How's that helped you?
it's been helping out a lot because it's like you were saying, like once you say it, you start believing it, and like now it's like habits now, where like good habits, where it's like I'm believing in myself more, believing all the positive stuff I've been telling myself.
Mhm.
So like changing it from that negative self-talk from when I was a teen to now with being more positive and more accepting of myself with all like the practice of that those affirmations. It's been huge.
Yeah, I I always try to do the positive affirmations, and I was going on this store. Being in recovery, it's hard to find clothes that fit that recovery theme, or the store is like completely recovery based. And so I found a store that's completely recovery based, and I scrolled all the way at the bottom. The very last shirt on their page was a daily affirmation shirt that says, on the side it says "I am," and it lists all these just beautiful things to say to yourself. And I was like, I'm getting that. I don't care if I get anything else. I'm
Yep.
getting that, and I bought it. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. I love it. But I think daily affirmations, or just affirmations, when you start to feel a certain kind of way about yourself, enforcing that positive self talk can really help you change the dynamic of the way that you view yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, cause like I like to have people in that on my like Facebook and stuff. So when I am scrolling and they're saying it too, I'm like, I gotta borrow that for myself too and tell that to myself. And like I kind of had this list of affirmations that I would read through and to where I memorize them. So when I'm away from all my technology, I can still tell them to myself. And then it's like I was saying, like I start believing them because I've been reading them and saying them over and over, and it's tremendous of how much it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just about to ask you, and you answered it.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between speaking and believing? And you just answered that.
Yeah.
I believe that there's a huge difference between speaking and believing it, because you can just say it and not believe it. But if you believe it, you're going to say it, and it's going to come from the heart.
Yeah, because I know when I was trying to get my list together of affirmations, like I wanted something that kind of like not like stung, but like I like felt it in my core, like, oh, there's something about this one that I need to keep telling myself. So like I would write down all of those ones that would speak to me in a positive way. And like even if it kind of like hurt some because it was me rewiring my brain and thought process. So like when I would read them over and like then it's like it gets a little bit easier when I speak it and then start believing it because I would keep repeating them. And so I usually try to find those ones that are kind of sting my thought process to rewire it.
Yeah, I've come across those too. The ones that you say them and you're like, oh, I don't feel that way.
Yeah,
And then it's like the more that you say it and the more you dive into that word and what it actually means to you, to me, I found out that I am that. I got some boxes that are on top of that word that are hiding that word that I got to unpack.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So I like to look at another part of that is, you talked about counseling earlier, and I wanted to wait toward the end to talk about counseling. But how has counseling helped you out move forward in your recovery?
Yeah, it was just seeing kind of a different person's perspective of how they word things. Like, because I could think about it one way and they're like, yeah, but try to like change it just slightly to this perspective. And it helped out so much with like just seeing a different perspective of something to where it's like kind of gets me thinking some and like kind of that's kind of helped with the rewiring of, oh, that's a good way of looking at it. And I start thinking, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Have you ever found yourself in a position where you've heard something from a counselor and somebody in your life, like active part of your life, has told you that same thing? And you're like, wow, I'm hearing it from the counselor too.
Yeah, I feel like I've been getting that a lot lately where I'll hear something from like my fiance. He'll tell me something and then I hear something else from the counselor and they're like, oh, okay. Like, because sometimes I'm hard headed. I've like not listened to the people that are close to me and then I hear it from somebody else and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to be like that, and I coined this term way back in the day. It's called an ask hole, right? Like
Yeah,
somebody asks for advice, they don't take it, then come back and then be like, "You were right." And I was an asshole
yeah,
because I would ask people for their opinions. I wouldn't take it because I didn't like what they had to say, but then a
yeah,
counselor would come along and be like, "Yeah, same exact thing," and then I would take it and I'd go back to the person and be like, "You're right." So
yeah,
I completely get that. I
yeah.
completely get that. So, anyways, Amanda, before we go, what advice would you give to somebody that is currently struggling with self care or self love? What would you give to them?
Just listen to like your like intuition, gut feeling. Like if you feel like you need to take a break or uh, go see someone like a counselor, then I would say just listen to yourself, listen to your body of what it's telling you, because all the time it's right from my experience is that like listen to your gut feeling and then act on it, not just kind of blow it off.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Amanda, where can we find you on social media?
All right, so I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest under Amanda Clower. A little bit on TikTok. I don't really post too much on TikTok, but I'm there too. On all under Amanda Clower.
That's awesome. That's
Yep.
awesome. And her links will be down in the description if you want to go check her out. But Amanda, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being a part of my journey.
Well, thank you for having me here.
That's and I'm glad to see the sun. I
Yes.
really am.
Yes.
But anyways, like I said, Amanda, thank you for hanging out with me. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us and hearing some of Amanda's journey and what she has to share. I'm greatly honored, humbled, and privileged to have her be a part of this. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, till next time. Much love. Be good.